Hello, lit ladies. Happy New Year. And we are so excited to be back with you all. We are going to embrace this 2025 year in such a big energy type of way. And I don't know the word yet, but it is coming for us all. I can feel it. I'm so excited for all of us who are here. I hope that you had an amazing holidays with your family, that you got to party it up and you stayed litties, you know what I'm saying? But for those of us who also just had a chill new year and received it with loved ones, I'm so happy for you. I hope that it filled your cup. I hope that it filled you up with so much happiness. And we are just so excited again to be with you all. So to get started on our episode, we are actually going to be talking about New Year's, new beginnings. And we're so excited with you all because we understand we all just came from celebrating with family, or some of us just took it really chill. But 2025, like, wow, let's just take a moment to pause on that. We ended 2024, and there was a lot that happened in 2024. And a lot of us took that time to reflect. We got to honor where and how far we come, all the goals that we achieved, to maybe some of the goals that we're planting seeds on and still growing for this new year. But you guys, we're starting a whole new year now. And that means that you still got time again, kind of recapping on our last episode of you still have time. And I know that for some of us, this can feel a bit hard because we don't know where to start. We don't know how to get back to this momentum of wanting to get all of our goals done. But in today's episode, we're going to help you out with that. We're going to help you how to set intentional goals. Most importantly, how to honor your journey and your progress. Because remember, you are still planting seeds to whatever it is that your heart is desiring and what you want to achieve. And we got to celebrate ourselves. So let's not forget that either, right? Celebrate every milestone that you hit, no matter how small or big it is. So we're going to go ahead and get this conversation started because we want you guys to feel equipped and ready to take on this new year on wherever you're at in your journey. So ladies, I'm going to go ahead and ask you all, how do you set intentional goals for the year, or are you receiving this new year where it's filled with possibilities, where we can dream big again? But sometimes it's a little hard for us to find that momentum because, again, we just experienced so many holiday cheers and we're with family. And sometimes, depending on how deep our reflections went, some of us may be feeling a lot of feelings. So how do you guys all balance that to be able to continue moving forward in your journeys?
Love that. I know for me, I have a yearly tradition. Every single year on January 1st, I go to the bar and yoga studio that I go to, and they have a class on January 1st that I take every single year. And that's my way of starting the year off on a good note. And also, I started doing this, I want to say maybe 3 years ago when I started to drink less alcohol. And I did this as a way to keep myself accountable. So when I first started doing this, I remember saying, well, I signed up for this workout class. I can't drink. I can't drink today. I can't, like, because I used to drink a lot when I was younger, and I got to a point where I was like, I can't keep doing this. And so, in order to hold myself accountable the day before on the 31st, when everybody's partying, everyone's drinking, I'm like, nope, I cannot do this to myself because I signed up for a class tomorrow. And if I don't make it to that class, I'm going to be so disappointed in myself. So ever since then, I started, I mean, now I don't need an excuse to not drink, right? Like now my family knows, like, I'm not going to drink and no is no. But before it was a lot of like pushing of like, come on, just a shot, whatever. And now it's like, nope, I do not drink. And now they don't even ask me. But that was how I started this tradition, and I absolutely love it. So now I look forward to on January 1st going, and also the bar and yoga studio that I go to. I absolutely just love everyone there. It just feels like community. Everyone is so welcoming and so kind. And so I love starting the first day of the year with these people who all have similar mindsets. They're all there. They're all kind of working on their health. They're all working on feeling good and starting off the year just like I am. So that's what I do every year. And I feel like also, just aside from that, something that I started this past year is, and I told Edie's about it already, but it's the jar, and I've talked about this on my podcast too, but I've started doing this jar of accomplishments and goals and things and like just like little wins and big wins, right? And I started that also January 1st of last year. So my little workout class is in that jar. So every time something happens, every time I do something that I feel like I accomplished or I feel proud of or I feel just good about, whether it's, the tiniest thing or a really big accomplishment, I write it down on a sticky note and I throw it into the jar. At the end of the year, I read it and yeah, I think it's just another great way to keep track of all of your goals and all of the things that you did well because like we talked about in our last episode, it can be really easy to forget what you did throughout the year and it can be really easy to just focus on what you didn't accomplish, right? And I think this is just a great way to remind yourself of like, oh yeah, I did do XYZ, right? Or like, oh yeah, I did, I don't know, go for a walk every single day or whatever it is, right? Like, but yeah, those are two things that I like to do at the beginning of the year just to kind of start off the new year feeling good, feeling
I
fresh.
Love that.
love that. I think I'm gonna start doing that. I think I'm gonna take a class this week because I'm gonna start the year right.
Yep.
Um, but I think for me, I don't have traditions, and I sometimes wish I did, but every year is different. I never know where I'm gonna be. Um, this year I'm working, so it started off different, right? And so I like to look at the new year as a like the erasing board. So like
Mhm.
I'm a big planner. So for me, it's like, oh, I get to erase everything and now I get to start over and like start what is it they say? Start back at the
Start at square one or start from scratch.
yeah, but also like start from the drawing board. You go back to the drawing board. So
Mhm.
I'm like going back to the drawing board. What is it that I want to do today? What is it that I want to do next week? What is it that I want to do for the month? I literally like narrow it down. Like something that did work last year and I want to do again is I listed out words that I felt would resonate with the year. Oh, I should have brought my words from last year. And so somehow I would always look at them every month and review how my month went. And somehow one of those words applied to every month. So I kind of want to do the same. Like it's just a reminder of like one of them was to go with the flow. So this month I went with the flow. Or one of them was endurance. And like this month
Mm.
I endured what I had to do. So I come up with words that just encourage me for the year. And I try to reflect every month to see like what did I do? What did I accomplish? And then every month I also like write down like this month I want to do this month I want to do that. Again, it's the planner in me where I feel like when I have things written out, it kind of just reminds me to like review or it's a reminder like and I read this research the other day and it said the more you see something, the more your brain like clicks, like it goes hand in hand. And I'm like, I think although it's in my planner, I think I need to have it like literally flat somewhere. So that's something new I do want to do. I've always wanted to do the vision board on Canva and put it on my phone. I've never done that. I always say I'm going to do it.
I
So
did
this
that.
year
Yeah.
I'm setting time and I'm going to do it. And you ladies can hold me accountable. We can all hold each other accountable if that's your mission this year. But I want to do that because I feel like I need to do like the research says. I need to see it daily and like be reminded of my goals because I feel like this year's gonna be different. I sense some powerful high energy Lupe, and I think that it's gonna happen. I don't know how to explain how do I know it's gonna happen. I think because keep talking about that. Like you're not supposed to know how things happen. You're supposed to like have the dream and let the universe guide you. And so I think that's what it is. I think that's where my planner is gonna come in handy, where I know I want to accomplish this. How am I gonna do all that I write down? I have no idea, but it's not for me to figure out. It's for me to go with the flow and just go where God guides me because yeah, we can plan 1,000 times over, but it's never going to come out the way you plan it. So don't lose the energy. For me, don't lose the energy in the details, but more so dream big and don't be afraid to do it.
I love that, Lupe. And it's funny. A lot of what you said, each and one of you, I love how different it is. And I think that even for me, when I plan out, to receive this entire new year, receive the energy, feel the energy of it all. Um, I have a little tradition that I do every year, and I do this with my clients as well, because my very first coach did this with me, and I
Mhm.
saw the power in it. I write a letter in the beginning of each year, but I read the past letter of the last year. So 2024 was a beautiful letter that I wrote to myself of all the things that I wanted to see come to fruition. And I wrote it in a way where when I read it for this year, because I still haven't read it, because I want to be very intentional, because I'm with family and doing a road trip and doing all these things. But the past experience that I've had reading those letters, I kid you not, a lot of those things have come to fruition. And it's beautiful to see what that older version of me was writing and how she was feeling and what she really hoped for. And then to see all of it just unfold beautifully. Oh man, that's like the craziest thing to see. And that's a little tradition, I guess, that I do for myself, a little ritual for myself for when I receive the new year, because this is the time to dream big. And I think a lot of us ladies, we forget to dream big. And it does not matter how big you want to be and how small your goals are for whatever that might mean to you, right? Because I don't think any goal or dream is small. But for some of us, we may label it that way. I know I sometimes do that. And I want to be able to remind you that when you write this letter, if you choose to do this, like write it to yourself and write it to what you want that highest version of you to receive when it's time to open that letter. And I intentionally don't open that letter until the beginning of the year. So
Yeah.
it's like it is a thing that I set off to the side, read it, and it's just so nice to see how far I've come, to check off and be like, oh shoot, like I wanted that to happen and it did. For example, like this podcast, ladies, I had this also on a vision board because I'm a big vision board girl. So I not only do I write my letter, I do my vision board. And let me tell you, there are so many things that I accomplished that I'm like, I forgot that those are the things that I wanted. So going back to those things reminds me on how far I've come and how dreaming big is important, no matter how insane it sounds to someone else. Um, yeah, because I remember putting podcasts and I remember doing the vision board with my family last year, and they were like, a podcast? Okay, well, we'll see. I didn't know how I was gonna get there. I knew I wanted to start one of my own. But God had other plans, and I started with you ladies, and then look at us now. Like we are here, we are podcasters, like, and that's exactly what I had on my vision board, which is crazy, y'all. Like I put, I am a podcaster. I never said what kind of podcast. I just said I was a podcaster. So we are here now. So yeah, allow yourself to just dream big. Those are the two things that I love to do. Um, and those are my consistent things. And then the last thing that I do is I do have words of the year. And I've been doing this tradition now since 2020. And I love meditating and being in stillness when it comes to getting my word, because I truly do believe that God, universe, this higher power gives me the words that I'm supposed to follow for the year. And I know that for 2024, my words were capacity and it was purpose. Now, let me tell you, y'all, those words sound beautiful, but they test the heck out of you. And
Mhm.
I remember reflecting on the words and looking at my pictures, because that's something I also do. I love looking at the pictures of all of the last year and being like, wow, I really did hold myself accountable with the word capacity for the first 6 months of the year. And it was teaching me on what my boundaries were, what I can hold, because I'm a person that loves to give a lot of energy, and loves to, give to people in general and be of service. But I noticed that at some point it was depleting me. So I had to find out, okay, what's my capacity now? Same with work, redefining what work success meant to me and what's my capacity to hold all of that. And then purpose. I feel like I've been walking, stronger on my purpose, but 2024 was definitely the year where it challenged me to see like how dedicated though and
Mhm.
committed are you to following your purpose. And it was not easy, y'all. It was not easy. I think that would be another time to deep dive on that story. But um, those are the things that I like to sit on. And I know that this year I'm still sitting with my words of the year. I have one in there, but I know that God is calling me for another word. And I think I'm a little like skeptical about it, where I'm like, are you sure you want that word? I don't know, God. I don't
Wait, are
know.
you
But
allowed
I'll
to
I'll
share
share
this
it.
word?
I'll share it out loud. I think the two
Okay.
words of the year for 2025 is power
Oh. Oh.
and believe.
Oh.
And believe was the one I was having resistance to, because I was like, well, maybe I already believed, it was the holiday seasons and I got enough of that believing spirit. But I think that this year is the year to truly step into what the word believe means for me and to really trust my journey, most importantly. Trust and believe in myself. Just like Lupe mentioned, like I feel this high energy power that is going to direct us for the next, couple of months. And I know good things are coming. I can feel it. But in order for it to really come to fruition, I'm feeling that I need to really believe. So, in order to make it all happen, and power is because I got to step into my power. Like I need to make sure that the world sees who I am and not hide it. So I feel that. And those are two very strong energies when you put it together. So, we'll see how that goes. I will keep you all updated, but you guys heard my word of the year first here, because I have not shared it with anyone. So, so
Yay.
I
I
hope
love that.
this serves you all. But this is the tools that I use for my
Mhm.
new year.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk a little bit more about like our intentions for the year,
Yes.
right? And how we feel about intentions. I know some people don't really like the word intention.
Mhm.
Um, and so I know that there are conflicting feelings around that, but do you guys set intentions for the year, or is it more of like the word of the year, the word of the month, or just being more mindful of how you're going to live month to month? Like how do you both feel about intentions?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm a big intentionality girl. I
Mhm.
think intentions goes a long way when we have the time and again the clarity in order to understand why we're setting those intentions.
Mhm.
So I just can't wake up one morning and say like I'm gonna go like, I'm gonna be joyful just to feel this way. I feel like there needs to be a deeper rooted
Mm.
meaning as to why you do things. And I think that's why people sometimes feel conflicted with intentions, because it requires you to work. It requires for you to stay accountable. It requires for you to really sit in with yourself and have that momentum. And I think a lot of us get scared of that momentum of intentionality. But there's so much power to that as well, because when I reflect on my own journey with intentions got me to where I am today, because I was so dedicated and committed to making sure that this became more of a daily practice, not just it's just in the spur of the moment. So I like to set intentions. I think my intentions change over time though, because since we are evolving beings, it
Mhm.
will change. I know that for like the beginning of this year, my intentions is to just receive. And I can't tell you receive what. It's just to receive whatever messages I need to receive, whatever it is that my soul needs to receive. But in order for me to truly understand what does receive mean, I have to sit a little bit more with stillness with myself, right? Like What do I need to receive? I just know in my spirit, though, I'm like, I need to receive, but I need to receive something. So in order for me to understand, like, where am I going with that? I have to pay attention to the signs. I have to pay attention to my body. I have to pay attention to the way I want to walk in life every single day. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm a big intentions girl, but again, intentions doesn't mean just in the spur of the moment. It means for me, what are you going to stay committed to and be intentional with your actions with? So if the goal is to be like, I want to be, credit card debt free. I know that was my goal last year and I achieved that. The intentions was not to spend money on things that were not necessary. It is only on what I need. So what do I need? So the intentions is I'm not going to spend money. So how do I do that? What's the plan? And what's the actionable steps that I can take for that? I'm going to set a budget that is realistic. And I say realistic, y'all, because so many of us set budgets that are not realistic and we deprive ourselves so much. So no, I had to do that.
Mhm.
I had to remind myself on my why. Why
Mhm.
do I want to be credit card debt free? Because I was like, I'll feel more at ease and peace because money stresses me out and I don't like feeling that way. I want to be able to do more with my money so I can support the people that I love, give to someone that needs it. And most importantly, if I want to treat myself to something, right? Like because I love investing in coaching programs and just self development and books, all of that stuff. And for fun, my coffee, I can't live without coffee, even though I'm drinking tea for today. But I love my cup of coffees. And guess what? A cup of coffee is not cheap anymore. So, I have to be intentional with what it is that I want my money to go and how I want my money to work for me. But see
Mhm.
what I mean? Like intentions doesn't mean like I'm not just gonna spend money. I had to
Mhm.
really go in deeper.
Mhm.
And then that wave moves because once that goal was achieved, what's the intentions? Well, I'm gonna stay in this momentum. Make sure that it is stable. Make sure that I'm checking in with myself with money, right? Because I want to be better with money. What does that mean? Well, when I'm better with money, again, I can meet all of my goals faster, buying a house or investing in a property or going to a dream vacation. For me, it's Ireland and Scotland. Like I would love to go out there. So those are the things, right? We got to keep setting intentions for, but as you can tell, it moves in waves as you keep going in your journey because your intentions will change, right? Like same with if you are married, recently married. I had to set intentions when I got married last year in 2024, which was another, that was a big milestone for last year. Um, of how I wanted my marriage to
Mhm.
be, to feel like what responsibilities do we need to give each other so that way we can hold each other in a great space and not resent each other, right? How do we resolve conflicts? Those all require intentional thoughts, knowing our why, and intentional actions overall. Because if I just say, I want a happy marriage, but don't work towards it, am I really being intentional?
Mhm.
No. It requires work. So I think that's why people have mixed feelings about intentionality and setting intentions, but that's what came up for me. That's what intentions is has done for my life and that's how I navigate intentions. But again, it comes in waves
Mhm.
and it changes and that's okay. I want to remind someone out there that intentions can change. It does not have to remain the same. And start looking deeper. Ask yourself why you're doing it.
That's great. And I love that. And hearing you talk reminded me though that I'm a person that's very hard on myself and I'm working on it, guys. And I'm like in the end, on top of that, I get bored easily. So like down to even my meals, I can't eat the same thing more than twice, right? The way I do things, if I go like from A to B, I have to find a. Eventually, I go from A to B to C. I find a different way of getting there, right? So that's just who I am by nature. So when you say intentions, I automatically go to goals. I change the word, and I think that comes because if I set an intention I feel like I have to stick to that. And it's really hard for me to stick to something when I know I'm constantly evolving. And so I think in my mind, I just change it to a goal oriented, which is why I just use words because the word could be used in many different formats of my life. And I'm not like sticking to one thing, right? But also hearing you talk, I was like, wait, lately I have been more intentional. So I do hear the part of like reminding yourself of your why, because that's really important. Like, why am I starting my health journey? Why am I changing my habits? Like, that's, but I think to me that just comes naturally. Like, why are you doing that? Duh, because you want to get better, you want to evolve. And for me, it's always been about evolving. So I can't ever always stick to one thing. And I don't know if that's maybe my nervous system, Tati, but um, uh, like not be afraid to change the word from intention to goal oriented. I've always been that, always. And but now adding in, okay, that's your goal. Why is that your goal? And simple, answer that simple question. So if you're a person that's like me who can't like, no, that sounds scary. Like, what if I can't stick to it? Um, just think, go with whatever tradition you're used to or whatever word you're used to calling this. But at the end of the day, always ask yourself why. Why are you choosing that goal? Why is that important to you? And then let that just sit and let that just be the reminder every single time. Like, don't add that pressure to yourself of like, I have to have an intention every single time. And we do deep down, but sometimes we don't like, I don't pinpoint it until I like sit and reflect. I'm like, oh, that's why I did that because it's important to me. So yeah, that's me. I think I just call it something different and I try to relieve that pressure off my own self because I know how I can mess up. So before I mess up, I'm like, let's take it back one step.
I love the idea that, your intentions and your goals can change throughout the year. Also, if you don't want to set an intention or if you don't want to set a goal for the year, you don't have to. Just because you see everybody making these intentions or goals for themselves for the year doesn't mean that you have to do it for you, right? Because I think that's when we start to add that pressure and it's like, oh no, I didn't get to where I wanted to,
Right.
right? But we can just kind of sense in or like sense into your body, feel it out. Maybe January, February, you don't have any goals. Maybe March comes and you're like, you know what, I still don't have an intention. And then maybe April comes and you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to start doing things differently. And that's okay. That's what it was for me. I remember last year. Um, January, February, I really actually, it was mostly just January. January, I spent the entire month at home. I was so exhausted from like the gatherings, the parties, all the things that I was doing with family and friends for the holidays that I was like, I am not going to do anything in January. I didn't have like an actual like goal for the year. It was more of like a day to day. I'm going to be intentional with what I can do. And then over time, I was like, you know what? Now I think my intention for 2024 was really to go all in with my business. And for those of you who don't know, I was really focusing on like transitioning from being an in person therapist to being a therapist and an online coach. And so I feel like that was something that I was really trying to put in all of my focus and intention on, right? Like I wanted to really just go all in on business related things. And I did, right? But that didn't come until I really sat with myself and gave myself like all of the time and space that I needed to just recuperate, right? And going into 2025, I'm like, okay, I really put in my heart and soul and all of my energy into my business. And now 2025, I'm like, all right, I think I'm good. I'm gonna like step away from like the business stuff a little bit because I know like what I'm doing now. Like I don't need to like put everything into my business stuff. Now I can say, you know what? In 2025, my intention is really just to prioritize myself a little bit more. And I've been thinking about this for a while now, but I'm really going to start. And I don't know how many online coaches are listening or like even businesses are listening to us right now. But if you're an online coach or if you're a business of some sort, you know that marketing is a really important part of business. And you
Mhm.
know that a lot of the marketing happens on social media. And so I think that it's really easy to get caught up with spending a lot of time online on social media. And I feel like in 2025, that's something that I'm going to um, be more intentional about with like not spending so much time on social media, still doing what I got to do because, b- business doesn't stop,
Mm.
but being more intentional. So I've been thinking about really prioritizing myself the first 2 hours of, the morning of, like, not picking literally, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my phone in another room, it's going to charge in another room, I'm going to put my alarm whatever, in another room, and I am not touching my phone for the first 2 hours that I wake up, and I wake up really early, I wake up, like, at 6 or 7 because if you have a cat, it's not it's impo you don't need an alarm when you have pets or kids, I mean, not to compare the 2, I'm sorry, but but so I'm going to put my phone in another room and not going to touch my phone because it's so easy to,
Mhm.
when you wake up, you grab your phone, you go on social media, you scroll, you do check your email. I know I check my email, I check all the things, right? And it's so easy to get into that habit. So I am going to be more intentional about how I use how much time I spend on my phone. So first 2 hours, and not only that, but the last 2 hours of the day too. First 2 hours when I wake up, and then because something that I was doing a lot, um, and in 2024, I didn't get to do this, but I want to go back to it. I used to read a lot. I was reading one book a month, um, and it felt so good. And I haven't really done that in 2024. And so I'm going to get back into that, trying to read one book a month and really using that time at the end of the day and I go to bed really early. I go to bed at 10. So that means I'm going to stop using my phone at 8 o'clock so that I can have those 2 hours to just unwind and do something that really supports my body in a more intentional way. And not to say that I wasn't intentional with prioritizing myself in 2024, but I think I wasn't as intentional as I could be. And that's what I want. And I think also, if you're listening to this and you're like, "Oh, that resonates," I want to remind you that it's okay if you didn't do something in 2024. You can always do it in 2025, right? And I think that's something that or like, even when you have goals for the day or for the week, right? You can always say, "Oh, I didn't do it today, but I can start again tomorrow. I didn't do it this week, but I can start next week. I didn't do it this month, but I can start next month." And same thing with 2024. I didn't prioritize myself in the way that I wanted to in 2024, so I'm going to start doing that in 2025, and there's no shame. It's just, you're going to start doing things differently, right? So, that's a long response for how I'm going to be more intentional about, um, you know, how I prioritize myself in 2025.
No, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a great segue, right? Because it just shows, and I hope the listener sees this, hears this, how different each and one operates.
Mhm.
We're all different.
Mhm.
You're different. And the key thing here is, as I kept hearing each and one of us speak, is find your rhythm.
Mm. Mhm.
Find your rhythm.
Mhm.
Your intentions are there to just remind you. It's that compass that allows you to move in your life and flow. That's the word that came up with me as I heard both of you guys speak. Flow. Flow with life, flow with your journey. Give yourself permission to know that you are an evolving being who keeps transforming every single day. Your intentions don't have to be big, or your goals don't have to be extremely, long, like, right? There's not like a long-term way to meet your goals. If you need to start small, start there. If they change, it's okay. And allow yourself to just, again, find that rhythm that works for you.
Mhm.
And it's such a great thing that you said that to Tati about you taking space in the beginning of the year, because that was me in the middle of the year, actually. And our momentums look different because where we're at with life is going to look different. For me, I had just gotten married. I moved from a different state to a whole new state. I was going through so many transitions, and I needed that time to rest and to reground myself and give myself permission to know, like, okay, we're starting a new life. We're starting to do things differently. And I remember also beating myself up because I had such a beautiful momentum with my business, and it kind of slowed down during that time. And I was so hard on myself, like you said, Lupe,
Mhm.
where I was like, I should have been able to meet X, Y, and Z goals. And until I gave my time, like myself time to just rest, is when I was like, oh, it's because this is realignment. We're
Mhm.
being realigned again and fine-tuned to where we need to go now next, because maybe the original goals that we set for ourselves, the original intentions are no longer needed. They're expired. That's like the word that came up for me, where I'm like, I think a lot of us have a hard time when we start the beginning of the year. We map everything out. We have the vision board. We got the intentions. We set everything else that we needed to. But then when things change, we freak out.
Mhm.
We get upset with ourselves. Then we feel like, okay, we're going to let go of just the whole thing completely. It's either we're all in or all out. And I want to be able to kindly say and remind you all that that is okay. It's okay to feel that way. And it's also okay for the plan to change. Because again, I always find it as you're being realigned. Like, when you use the GPS and maybe your destination is to get to Marshall's, but you miss the exit and you're like, oh gosh, like, why did I miss the exit? That's me at least. But then the GPS reroutes itself. It
Mhm.
still takes you to the same destination. I want to remind you that life is the same way. It's very similar. So allow yourself to be realigned. And sometimes too, some of those goals get expired because maybe you're meant for something different. Maybe you're called for something bigger. And as you're maneuvering, or going in your flow of the year, again, going back to the analogy that we spoke about on our last episode, and if you didn't hear about that, is sometimes when we map things out, we're like birds that stay stuck in a cage. We can only fly so far. But when you allow your goals, your dreams to expand, we're no longer that bird that's in the cage. We allow ourselves to fly. We legit have the sky, and the sky is limitless. It's the same thing with this new year. And I hope that that serves somebody, because your plans will change, your
Mhm.
intentions will change, because life changes. And just like we don't put any pressure to the seasons, especially if you're a person that lives in a beautiful like state that you can see all four, we don't force nature to become summer. We don't force nature to become winter or fall. We literally let it take its course in time. And guess what? Nature still has its intentions of giving you the beautiful colors in the leaves. Maybe if you live in snow, it lets you know when the snow is coming, but the intentions are still there. Like, it's still going to be cold. It's still going to be icy and snowy. The sun will beam a little bit hotter today, so you can enjoy and go out to the swimming pool. But life, your goals, your intentions, everything that you set up for yourself as a daily practice also will change over time. So if you go in with that mindset piece of, I'm setting these goals, but I'm also open to allowing life flow the way it needs to unfold itself, you are going to honor your progress way more. And you can
Mhm.
get started whenever. And it gives you permission to start whenever you want. Because like Tatiana said, like, if maybe your thing is in the beginning of the year, maybe it's in the middle, maybe it's at the end where you're like, I'm giving myself time to ground and to be intentional, to spend time with my family, and not prioritize work as much, or not prioritize other things that I might have prioritized in the last couple of months. But allow yourself to just understand that you can start the journey whenever you want, and whenever you're ready, whenever you feel called to move. Because that's another thing too, is that a lot of us will feel the calling to feel like we got to move in different times, in different momentums, and that is okay. So I wanted to just remind us on that. And thank you so much for sharing your journey, and same with you, Lupe. Because again, I think the beauty here is that we're not all the same. We all find our momentums when we need to find them. And we're setting our intentions based on what's important to us, what is important in our journey. And I love that you also you shared your intentions, Tatiana, about 2025, how you're going to move differently in life. And it's going to be a beautiful journey to see like how your year ends and all the wins that you share with us, to see how that daily practice shifted things in your life that are going to allow you to go and into more momentum to wherever you're called to go. So I think that's beautiful. And for the friends that are out there, because I do feel this, and I think that now we talked a little bit about intentions, what are some maybe tangible tools that our listeners can use, again, because I know we dropped a lot of gems, but if we could recap it, like if they need to start today and they're like, Tatiana, Lupe, Iris, I heard you, but give me one thing where I can start right now, start my journey, and I can just take this with me the moment that I leave off of this episode, what would that be for you guys?
I think for me, what comes immediately to mind is carry over one thing that worked for you in 2024.
Mm.
Because, well, for two reasons. One, because for me, I'm starting the year, I ended the year with a little bit of a health challenge. And so I have to continue that, right? But, and it's okay to still have that same goal you had last year. One, but two, you also can continue a same habit that you started already last year, because at the end of the day, sometimes our body just feels like, one, overwhelmed, but two, it's like, oh my God, I have to come up with something new. No, you don't have to come up with something new. And you don't have to come up with a new habit. What worked for you last year that you can carry over and continue to piggyback and grow on top of? Because it's a habit that worked, and it's something that's going to make you feel safe. Like you can continue to habit stack because you know you can continue to do that. Now it's going to become easier for you to habit stack. So for me, to help with my health challenge, I'm going to continue to meal prep. That's something that was working for me last year, and I'm going to continue it this year. I'm going to definitely habit stack because now I have to add more things to my plate. Um, and it's only going to come with time. So it's just a reminder of habit stacking comes with time. Habit stacking comes um, with just openness and comfortability. So like the other day I gave this analogy to my sister-in-law, and I said it's like a juggler. A juggler will start with one ball, then adds another, and then adds another. He cannot start with all five. Like he literally has to throw one up before he can throw the other. And that's literally how our habits work. And we can only maintain that momentum when we're comfortable with all of these habits. And then you can add another one. And I promise you it becomes easy. And so I know that. And so I'm going to carry that over from the year prior.
Oh,
I
that was
felt
so
that. That was
good.
good. Mic
That's
drop.
so good.
Sorry, I had to say
Mic
that.
drop.
Mic drop. That was good. Oh
Yeah,
my
that was really
gosh.
good.
Ooh.
Because to anyone that maybe ended the year like me with a health challenge or starting a year with a health challenge, it is it can get overwhelming. It can get like, oh my God, where do I start? Oh my gosh, why is this happening again if it's something that's reoccurring? You know, don't beat yourself up. Just hold on to that. It goes back to like reflecting on the year prior. Don't pick on the things that didn't work out. Look at what did work. And so same thing, if it's a challenge that you're going through, is it a workout or um, some people maybe this year they're like, I want to run a marathon. Okay, how am I going to get there? Okay, you're going to start small. You're going to start stretching because stretching is so important for running. So what is something that you can truly work on that's not overwhelming, that you can actually stick to in order for you to continue to grow and habit stack?
I love
So
that
good,
so
Lupe.
much. I feel like we should have another episode on habit stacking because that was
Ooh.
so good. I feel like we need to kind of talk about that in depth a little bit more. I love
Mhm.
that.
Yes, I
Love
love
that.
that.
I think for me, my suggestion is, and it's very similar to what Lupe said, but I'm going to invite you to just choose one thing to focus on because it can feel overwhelming with all of the stuff that we shared on here, but all of the things that you're seeing on social media, maybe if you listen to other podcasts, it can feel overwhelming. So try one thing, focus on one thing. Maybe that one thing is rest. Rest for the month of January, right? Maybe that's your one thing. Maybe your one thing is staying hydrated. Maybe your one thing is putting your phone in another room like I'm doing this year in 2025, right? Choose one thing to focus on instead of trying to come up with a large goal that just feels too overwhelming to accomplish, right? So it is very similar to what Lupe was saying, but I think just kind of focusing on, the tiniest thing.
That's great. I love that because I think that as we take it one step at a time, and just like Lupe mentioned with her beautiful analogy of then adding things in more and more, that's going to flow over time and you're going to create momentum, which is honestly, y'all, that's the important part of the year. And as you're achieving the things that you want to achieve, is the momentum piece. Like if you can create momentum, you will be able to accomplish whatever it is that you're desiring to accomplish. And for me, the tip that I'm leaving you with is collect the evidence, AKA the receipts. And what I
Oh.
mean by that is that's something that I do a lot, but with journaling. And it's reflecting on all of the good things that have occurred over time, right? Because our brain is really good with reminding us on the things that we don't do. Well, why don't you remind your brain and find the evidence to say, but I have done things like that. I can do the hard things. I can juggle this new habit because I've done that before. And just put it in a journal. When you're achieving these things, put it in there. That way, when you reflect back and you're having a really hard day and you're like, man, I don't know if I could do this habit anymore. You have the evidence in your journal. You can also reflect on past, experiences that you've had to remind you on that. And the reason I call them receipts is because I heard this from Michael Todd. He's a really well-known pastor, and he talks about different receipts that we like, just like how when we go and buy things and we have a list of the items that we've bought, it's the same thing with life. Like, what are the list of evidences or the list of things that we have done to remind ourselves, like, I have done that though. I am going to achieve that. Because I can do it because I've done it before type of mentality. It helps so much to remind our brain that, hey, I know you're trying to take me back into this fear, because it's trying to protect us. It's like you haven't done enough type of mentality of, hey, get back on track. And that can feel overwhelming. But when we can retrain our brain and let it know that we are doing the things that we're supposed to, it just brings a little bit more ease. Which reminds me too, and going into the segue of honoring our timeline and our progress, it's a good segue for that because I feel like when we are able to recap that in our minds, we can keep that momentum still going. So I think a key thing that we're all giving you as a tangible item is, yes, to carry a habit that has worked onto this new year. Focus on one thing at a time and collect the evidence as you are achieving these goals. Collect the receipts, whatever feels right to you. Collect the receipts, collect the evidence, whatever it is. But take these 3 items as best as you can, or just one of these tools, so that way you can build momentum. That is what I feel like as a collective, a lot of us are going to be building that this year, is momentum for ourselves, momentum for our goals, and just making sure that we're finding the right momentum for ourselves. So don't comparing your journey, honor your progress. And I think that that's another question that I want to ask you ladies is, for the listener that's having a hard time honoring their achievements, honoring their progress, honoring the fact that maybe their timeline may not look the way that they hope for, how do you guys currently honor your progress? And what's an advice that you would give to our listeners if they're having a hard time?
Tati, you go first.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm on the spot.
No.
I think that for me, it really comes back to the body, the nervous system, right? Because I think that, I always think I know we're going to have future episodes on nervous system, and I'm going to share all the juicy stuff about the nervous system so that we can really understand what's happening inside of us. But um, I think for now, what I will say is that, you know, once you regulate your nervous system, once you heal your nervous system, you won't get stuck in those feelings of shame or I didn't do enough or whatever it is, right? Honor your inability to honor your accomplishments, right? That all goes back to how healed your nervous system is.
Mm,
And I think that for me, it's really just coming back to be with what's happening internally for me, my physical sensations, right? And connecting with my body so I can fully access my bodily experience, right? And I think being with my body is truly what helps me not be stuck in that cycle of shame or cycle of not being able to honor myself, right? Because I think that um, when you're not connected to your body, right, you are looking for external validation, right? Internal validation can only come if you are truly connected with your entire being, with your entire body, right? And so that's my suggestion, right? If you're having a really hard time honoring what you did this year, your wins, your accomplishments, or just, setting intentions or goals, then come back to your body, right? Because maybe we don't have like physical evidence that like we wrote down. I know for me, I'm not a journaler. I'm not like I don't write things down except for those sticky notes in those jars. But I don't I for me, if I were to do that, it would be really hard for me to find like physical evidence because I don't have those things. Um and so I know that I personally always just come back to what's happening inside of me physically, right? And so, yeah, that's what I do. That's how I um continue to honor myself and my experiences and my wins and accomplishments. And also how I set future intentions and goals and how earlier we were talking about like dreaming big. How do I dream big? I don't look for things outside of me. I think I go for what's happening internally, right? And so that's my invitation to you to, it goes back to resting and slowing down and stillness, which we talked about in our last episode, right? Um, being with yourself so that you can really honor yourself in those ways.
I love that, Tati. And I think to piggyback and help, I think what you're trying to say also is that's like when you're on a workout regimen. You're not looking outside to ask people, "Hey, can you see my muscles? Hey, can you see how I can you see that my pants fit loose?" You don't ask somebody else. You feel that and you see that for yourself. So I love that because it's so true. Like you're not gonna go ask around, like, "Do you see that I lost weight?" You're gonna feel it first. And when you start
mhm,
feeling that, like that's where the reward is. Um, and going back to your question, Edie's, I think for me, it's if you're having trouble like acknowledging or starting or reflecting or whatever it is, I think it's maybe for me, it's gonna be ask for help. And there's a difference between asking someone so you can feel validated versus asking someone because you genuinely don't even know where to start or where to even begin. And I say that because that's the type of clients I usually deal with. Someone who's like, I I I give up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know where to start. I don't know why this isn't working. And so that's where the help comes in and not being afraid to ask for it. And, my role as a coach is always, you actually are doing some things right. So again, we leverage the things that you are doing right. And let's
mhm,
focus on that. Because a lot of the times, my clients, that they're not doing it wrong. It's that they're not taking the time to look at the good stuff that they are doing. And once they do that, then again, it's the habit stacking. Oh, okay. So if you can do that, then we can totally add that to your plate now. Oh, I didn't even know I was capable of that. And sometimes it does take that other person to help them leverage and grow. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Love that.
No, you guys have dropped a lot of great gems here. And I think, yeah, going back into your body is such an essential piece. And so, yeah, feel it. That's the key thing is feel it, right? In order to get to our body, we got to feel it. But in order for us to also be able to be in tune with our body, be still. So that was a great reminder, Tati. And then with Lupe, I think it's amazing how you mentioned about, again, being okay with the fact that it's going to be a little hard and it's okay to seek out for the help that you need and to be ready, right? Be committed to that journey because I think a lot of us, when we jump into that help modality, we sometimes stay in this victim mindset. And sometimes we may not be ready in that moment to ask for the help. Maybe we still need to go back to the basics, like Tati has mentioned in previous episodes, to being like, okay, what do I need? Let's gain the clarity. Am I committed? What does my body feel? All of these things. And what does my body need, most importantly? But when we are ready for that journey to ask for help and are committed, I think that's the key thing that I'm emphasizing too, ladies, because I'm calling you guys all in a place of love. Like, because I do feel that in order for us to ask for help, we got to be ready and committed, right? Hire that right coach that's going to support you in your journey and that's going to remind you what you're capable of. But in order to receive that, we need to be committed. And I wanted to remind a listener that's out there because I'm like, we can ask for the help all we want, but if you are not committed and you're not ready to receive what it is that you need to start doing so you can move with intentionality and flow moving forward, we will not see that and we're going to stay stuck in the same place. So I don't know for who that was, but I say that very lovingly, where I want you to, if you're not in that step just yet, it's okay. Take it back to the basics. Listen to your body. And then when you're ready to move forward with that momentum, seek out the help. And I think for me, the way I want to kind of move with this direction is as you're combining these two tools that Tati and Lupe provided, because not only is it wisdom, but it's tools. Trust yourself in your journey, most importantly. I think as a surrender coach, that is like the best advice that I can give you because sometimes it is really hard to see what the outcome will be if the unknown feels scary for us. It is scary to step into that energy of, I know I want to be committed. I know I want to change my life. I want to walk with more intentionality. I want to be able to walk with more momentum in 2025, but I'm scared because being comfortable is all I know. This rhythm, this routine that I currently have is all I know. I'm really scared. What if I do fail? And I want to remind the listener that's out there is that your feelings are valid. Those thoughts that are coming through, they're yours and it's okay. But it just like how we've spoken about in previous episodes, let's accept what's coming up without judgment. Allow it to come and flow because again, this is our brain trying to rewire us and go back to what we know. But also trust that you are being divinely guided to move forward because your soul, and I'm going to go very like deep and spiritual here because it's like your soul is craving for more. God or higher power is calling you for more. And just trust and believe. And I will be walking with this journey with you of the word believe. Because not only are we going to walk in momentum, but we got to believe in ourselves this year. Dream big, even if it feels scary, but do it anyways, right? Like allow yourself to move in that momentum when you are ready. So that way you can see what life is going to unfold to you. I think there was a previous episode too where we talked about releasing the plan and roadmap. I don't know if we did, or maybe if it's just me in my mind, and we'll talk about that in more future episodes, but it's okay to release the plan for now and just let yourself flow in the way you need to. And that goes back to trusting yourself. Let life unfold the way it needs to, but create that momentum for yourself. And I think that the more that you give yourself permission, and I hear that for someone where they're like, I don't know how to do that because I was never given the ability to do that. I'm giving you permission to do so for yourself and for your life, because your highest self is calling you to go that way and it wants you to move in that way. So just trust in yourself. I know it's scary, but again, build that momentum, ask for the help that you need when you are committed and ready to do so, and just keep doing frequent check-ins with your body and what it needs. Check in with yourself. Feel it to heal it. And I keep saying that. That was a big thing that I used to tell myself when I started in my healing journey was feel it to heal it, so you can continuously move in momentums. And the tools that we're providing you guys is not just starting like, oh, start with TATI, start with Lupe, and start with Edie's. Your flow is going to look so different, and you will go back to some of these modalities or tools, and that's okay too. Again, allow life to unfold the way it needs to. And I promise you that you will be able to be in a place where you're going to receive and honor your journey way more. Because when we allow ourselves to flow, trust ourselves, we ask for help, we check in with our body, we're going to feel at more ease, and it's going to allow us to just trust that we are being directed in the right direction. Don't forget also, because now I'm going to segue into another thing, is to like celebrate yourselves. Celebrate every freaking milestone and don't take it so seriously. Like, allow yourself to embrace the journey that you are committing to yourself in this transformational journey, but have fun. Celebrate every milestone. And even if you are not a writer, like a journaler like me, something else that I do that I find fascinating is keeping audio journals for myself. Take pictures, document the journey. And that's something that I intentionally want to do more is I tend to take a lot of pictures of other people. And I want to document more of my own personal journey, the good times, the not so great times, and just have it for myself. So when I go back next year and I see the evidence, I can see how my flowed, how my year flowed based on those pictures, based on those videos, where I laughed my butt off and maybe where I cried a lot and I felt so sad. But then looking back, I'm like, girl, if only you knew, like, we're doing so much better now. That's the evidence, right? But have fun with it. Book fun little trips, little activities that you've been wanting to do. Don't hold back. Don't let this be the year that you hold back from wanting to achieve the things that you want to do. Or let's say if you wanted to do a candle making class or do an art class, whatever it is, go do it. Let this be the year and celebrate your wins and document it in some form and way. And so, ladies, I wanted to ask you all is how do you plan to celebrate your progress, honor your journey, and just celebrate the wins that you're going to experience in 2025?
To be honest, I think with me, every celebration is going to be different. So I don't have a specific answer to that. When you were talking about celebrate every little milestone, every little thing, immediately I thought I'm a person who's typically late for my transportation. And I always celebrate when I am even a minute early. And people look at me like, but you were a minute early. I'm like, no, you don't understand. That's huge for me.
Yeah.
So for me, I just celebrate by like texting someone that day or like, hey, look, I got here a minute early. So that's how I celebrate like that situation. So I think for me, celebrating always comes in different like shapes and forms. I love to celebrate other people, like birthdays. I love celebrating other people's birthdays, throwing a big party for them. Um, so for me, I think this year maybe celebrating even more of me, like you said. So maybe it's obviously not a party every day, but more of like genuinely taking the time to celebrate whatever it is that I accomplish, whether that's a walk, uh, a simple phone call to someone to let them know what I did. Um, I don't know, buying something for myself. Although budgeting is a goal this year, so maybe not. But something small or creating something, finding the time to do something that I don't typically do. I think that's what it is.
I love that. No, and that's good that you mentioned that because again, it does not have to be a big thing, like, right? It doesn't have to be like buying a gift or anything like that. It can literally be words of affirmation, of reminding yourself, most importantly. And I love that you said that, or even calling up someone and saying, I made it to the bus 1 minute early. That is a win. And I think a lot of us, we do struggle, especially as high achieving Latinas, where we find that celebrating, like I'll do that later.
Mhm.
But it's also a form of self-care. It's also what brings us into pushing us forward to our momentum so we can achieve the goals that we want to. Because again, the more we keep reminding ourselves of how committed and amazing we are, I think that is the fuel to our vehicle to be able to push forward. Because again, I know that I wasn't a person that celebrated myself enough. I can be very hard. I know I can get things done, but we get lost in that. And I think that was something that I would want to see more of us Latinas do is celebrate all of the things that we do, no matter how small they are or they may seem. But it's like if I'm able to cook every single day and public speak and do all these things, or maybe it's just being in tune with my kids this year and being present with my husband, that's a win because you're allowing yourself to live more intentionally, authentically to what it is that you want. So keep celebrating that. I think that's why I emphasize that question for us because it does not have to be through gestures of, buying a massage and doing all these things. Do little things again to keep you motivated in the journey. But go ahead,
Tell
Lupe.
us, Lupe. Yeah, what were you thinking? But
Do this, but I just got an idea. What if anyone listening, if you want to be celebrated or you want to tell us something that you want to celebrate, we can shout you out
Yes.
and honor you in
Yes.
that way. Like we will celebrate you
yeah.
because I love celebrating people.
Oh my gosh, I
Yeah,
love
same.
that.
Tell us,
And it can be anonymous too.
yeah.
Like you don't like you can tell us what you're celebrating and we can celebrate you on here. We can share your name if you give us consent, if you feel comfortable with that. But if you're like, no, I want to celebrate but keep my name anonymous, like we'll do that. We just want to celebrate
Yes.
all of your wins. I love that idea, Lupe. Oh my gosh, so good.
Yes. I love that. Perfect, ladies. So we will be moving forward with this beautiful idea that Lupe just dropped. I think that would be an amazing way to get you all to see how amazing you are, how well you're doing in this journey, and just shoot us a DM with your win of the week, and we will shout you out on this podcast
Or if
and
you're on YouTube,
or
just
on
leave a
YouTube.
comment. We're
Yes.
here. I love it.
I
Yes.
love that. I love that. And if you have a hard time celebrating yourself, just access your inner Leo. I mean, I love celebrating myself. I have zero problem celebrating myself. Like you can celebrate me every single day. I love celebrating myself. I have like mini dance parties in my kitchen almost every day by myself with Marcin with turkey and Saturn, right? Like I love how the both of you were saying like it doesn't have to be a huge thing that you do to celebrate because your life can literally be a celebration every single day and it's the small things. And I also think about like the way that I celebrate myself not just by like those little mini dance parties but also like I am proud of where I've been and what I've accomplished. And I'm almost like, even though I'm a Leo, I'm a quiet celebrator in terms of like I don't need to share my wins with the entire world. I know what I've accomplished and I am proud of myself every single day. And
Yeah.
so if you're that kind of person who like is a quiet celebrator, you can do that too, right? Like just kind of feeling it within of like, yes, I know I'm so proud of myself. I know that I did this thing that I've always wanted to do and here we are, right? And it doesn't have to be that you do something like we were all talking about that to make it a point that you accomplished that goal. It can just be like, oh, I feel it inside and I'm so happy and this I'm celebrating by just being proud of myself.
Mhm.
I love that. No, see, that's the energy I'm talking about in order for us to keep building this momentum because that is the celebrations, y'all. And like you said, that we can make life a celebration every single day. And that's exactly the reason why I asked this question is because I want more of us to be in that energy and not wait until the big milestones to be celebrated, even if you are that quiet, celebrating type. Like, no, allow that to start being your lifestyle now, where you start normalizing that, where you get to start modeling that for other people so we can have more joyful people in this world and to have more fulfilled people in this world. And most importantly, for you to be fulfilled and for you to feel so proud of what you're about to accomplish in this new year. Because I feel that. I feel that a lot of us are going to step into our momentum more than ever. And believing in ourselves more and being in tune with our bodies more, taking care of our health more, being able to dream big again and giving ourselves permission to do so. So this is the year, y'all, where we're all stepping into our power and allow yourself to navigate in that way. And so I'm so excited for what this year is about to bring us. Again, please feel free to share all of your wins via, YouTube on the comments, Instagram. If you have us, shoot us a DM and we are going to be excited enough to shout you out. So again, ladies, like I am so grateful for you all. I feel the energy in this one. And I definitely want to be able to shout out these amazing women because they are doing amazing work, behind the scenes when we're not in, this podcast. And so I'm just so grateful to be in this journey with you both. That's where I feel my heart heading to. And I know that we have amazing goals and dreams, and maybe we can talk about our goals and dreams in a later episode so we can help our ladies dream big again. Because I feel that in my spirit too, where that needs to be another episode where we dive deep on how do we give ourselves permission to dream. And stay tuned for that, ladies, because I feel like that one's going to be super juicy, super good. But in the meantime, like I do want to shout these girls out because they are doing amazing work. And so that thing I
And
know
so
that
are
you.
you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, and me too. Yes, and me.
Yes.
If you would like to start your journey with surrendering and just trusting yourself and just taking ownership of wanting to change that life, that transformative life, I got you. Like, book a call with me. You can also follow me at intentionally_Iris on Instagram, and we can just connect from there. But I'm so excited because I feel it for so many of you all that you guys are going to be moving an amazing momentum. So I'm excited to witness that all.
And for me, if you're ready to start asking for help or need some type of guidance, maybe it's not genuinely to work with me, but I'm always open to having that conversation. And I've been through many different practitioners and help, and I've asked for help in many different ways. So if you need that conversation or if you need that health coach to get you started on your journey, that is me. And you can find me at Healthy Lupe and you can DM me and we can definitely get this party started. It's always a party with me. Sorry.
I love that. And if you've been on your healing journey for years, if you've been on your healing journey for a really, really long time and you are all talked out, if you are feeling hopeless in your healing journey and you don't know what else to try, I am your girl. I work with women who are all talked out, who have tried all of the healing modalities, and we are really working with your nervous system to get you that deep, long-term healing that you've been looking for. So if you're at the end of your healing journey, that's who I work with. And you can find me at tatiana.holistic.coach on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for staying tuned here. We appreciate all of our listeners. Again, we're wishing you the best year yet, because I know that the best is yet to come. And we're just so grateful for you all as well. Thank you for staying next to us and being in this journey with us. And I can't wait to see where we all go in this year. So until next time, remember, stay lit, and we'll catch you all very soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on Lit Podcast. We hope this conversation has ignited a spark within you so that you keep embracing your journey.
Remember, transformation takes time, but every step brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review.
Let's continue this journey together. Until next time, stay lit and keep transforming.